What's good, everybody? It's Rat Trap, and we're back with another Warframe video. Live on Twitch right now. Hope everybody's having a good day. Wanted to put this video out here as soon as I could today before we're supposed to have a hurricane hitting later tonight, and I don't know if I'll have power. So I wanted to go ahead and put this out. It's almost close for Trinity and Nova Prime to be coming out. I think it has like another hour. So I wanted to share this and throw it out there so people would have some information on how to build them. These builds are pretty much they're for Steel Path. So if you build your Trinity and your Nova like this, you can take on anything in this game. Like no problem whatsoever. And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the weapons that I like to use with them. Some synergize really well with both of them. So, let's get into it. Alright. First, let's take a look. Let's go to Prime Resurgence. See how much time you have until you can get the relics.
Nothing left to chance if you're bringing Regal Aya.
So we got another hour and 24 minutes. So not too much longer. You guys will be set. For those that already have the Warframes, no need to worry about this. But I always farm the relics that come out in Prime Resurgence. It's kind of fun. So let's see here. Let me get set up. Okay. So yeah, you can't really see all the good stuff that comes with it. It says plus 10 more at the bottom, and all you see is a bunch of Kubro, Kavasa stuff. That's Trinity stuff. You get no mastery rank XP for that Kubro collar, and that Kubro collar gives your Kubros more health. I think health and armor. But I know it gives it a little bit more health, but it's not like something you can level up in the game.
No
I'm not going to be going over their weapons, like the Vasto and all their melees and stuff. I'm going to go over what I personally use, what works best with them. And we'll start with Nova. So going over Nova stats, this is the Slova build. So Nova is pretty much known for two builds, your Slova and your Speedva. And I'll show you how to make those. No problem. So her first ability is Null Star, where you have these little antimatter particles, and it says that that orbit, Nova, and seek nearby targets. Each active particle gives plus 5% damage reduction to Nova's health, stacking up to 90%. So this is a good damage reduction, especially when it's stacked with adaptation. This stops Nova from being so squishy, and also stacking Arcane Aegis with that, so your shields just go right back up. And really, the one that you'll see your shields go up and down with the most, where you're taking active fire from the enemy, is the Speedva build. The Slova build, no problem, because they're a lot slower. On the Speedva build, the enemies are super fast. I mean, and you gotta kind of use something to counteract them being as fast. You either kill them as quick as they're heading to you, or you kind of have something to not de-escalate, but kind of like catch them off guard. Like it pulls them away from you, and like a decoy kind of. So we subsumed an ability on the Speedva one. So you basically have to have 18 antimatter particles to get that 90% damage reduction. And I'm at 17. And it's most likely because this narrow-minded is just a smidgen away from being leveled up, which is fine. You'd be alright. And then obviously we got Multificiency on the second arcane to give more duration. So Nova works kind of funky than the rest of the frames. You would think like the strength would control a lot. The range would control maybe the antimatter particles. It's all duration. So Nova is all duration. So you want to throw as much duration on her as possible because that's going to give you the highest amount of antimatter particles, and it's going to give you range on your fourth ability, Molecular Prime. So when you see these enemies flashing when you're playing games you're with Nova, that's the enemies being primed. It creates a huge debuff, and it's either going to slow them down or speed them up. And you'll see this wave around you when Nova hits the ground. This wave kind of just spreads out and goes further and further and further away from you. And then as enemies walk through it, or it goes past the enemies, they get a debuff. And down here, you got your radius. The slow on the Slova is 75%. It caps out at 75%. So you cannot get 100% slow. The max is 75%. And the duration is 17.34. So that's the wave that you see traveling out there. That lasts for 17.34 seconds. Pretty much highlighting all the enemies, and then the effect duration, the 86 seconds, is how long they're basically going to be blinking for. They'll have that debuff on for. So it lasts a pretty long time. So it's not really the duration, the 17.34 you're paying attention to. It's that effect duration that once the enemies will stay debuffed for well over a minute. But like I said, the slow is 75%. It does not go beyond that. Therefore, I put Precision Intensify on. And I didn't max this mod out. I only put it up to, just to give it enough strength to give it that 75% slow. So you don't see it, but that's 45% ability strength on your fourth ability. So it's pretty much, it's getting 145 strength, and that's all you need to cap that out. Actually, I don't know, 45, it actually might be a little lower, like maybe 130 or 135. I'm not sure, but I know that if you use Precision Intensify, you only need to level it up to get the max amount of slowness on your enemies. Sorry, I got a sore throat. So yeah, this is an augment, and you definitely want to use this. This is very helpful. Molecular Fission, Molecular Prime Augment. When killed, primed enemies will restore a null star charge and have a 100% chance of restoring an additional one. So that is a very helpful augment because that keeps your null stars up, which, therefore keeps your damage reduction up. That's one thing you really don't want a lot of range, if any range, depending on whatever abilities that you subsume with your Helminth from your Helminth. So you don't want a lot of range because you don't want your null stars leaving you and attacking enemies, and they deal heat damage. So the less range, the better, so your null stars stay on you. Only when enemies get in your proximity of when you're fighting with melee or you're really, really close to them, you'll see the null stars leave and they seek out and hit enemies, and it does heat damage. But that's why we don't want a lot of range on Nova. You don't need any range on Nova. And then we got Narrow-Minded for max duration, Augur Message for more duration. I like Prime Sure-Footed because staying off your butt is a huge damage increase. Prime Redirection because we're rocking Archon Aegis, so we get a 3% chance for 30% shield recharge for 12 seconds. And I swear it works a lot more than 3%. That with Guardian on your companion, you see your shields just go back up so quick. Prime Continuity, obviously, for more duration. So, you got 1, 2, 3 duration mods on here. And then we got some damage reduction. We got equilibrium to keep our energy up a lot easier. You could actually, if you're not going to use Arcane Aegis, you could switch this out and you could put, Arcane Energize up here. But I suggest to keep this build like that. This is very efficient. This Slova build works really good. And we're using Brief for Sprite in our aura, so when we cast an ability, we get shields back. What I did is the third ability, Wormhole, you create a teleport. This thing is fun, obviously, too. On its... Let's look at this. So this is the only one that's based on range. So the more range you have, the further you can teleport, which is really not a big deal, because most of the time you're just creating these teleports to piss your friends off and have a good funny, or you're putting these in front of like a defensive target, and so when the enemies are pushing up on you, they get scooted back. And it'll only do it so many times to the enemy until that teleport will disappear and you got to put a new one. But they are really helpful, especially when you're like trying to cover distance and stuff. You can bullet jump, throw teleport up. They're really helpful in the bounties on the Plains Vitallon. When you're escorting that drone, you can put these teleports out, let the drone teleport through, and get to the exfil quicker. The second ability is pretty much this antimatter orb that it has a damage cap, so that's why that was the ability I subsumed, because it caps out at a certain amount of damage. You have to move your crosshairs to get it to where you want to go to hit an enemy, and then you got to shoot it to charge it up to make it do that max amount of damage, and that's just a lot. When you're getting shot at and you're doing this and that, helping your team out or whatever, it's just a lot to be like messing around with. So I subsumed Zata's Whisper so I get more damage with my weapons, because this is not like Sevagoth. Her abilities aren't killing enemies. They're not nuking in that sense. You're killing enemies and nuking them from priming them and then using your weapons. And so we'll go over the weapons in a little bit, and after I show you this one. This is the Speedva build. So the way we get Nova to speed the enemies up, so let's say I use her all the time during defense, whether you're cracking relics with friends or you're knocking out your incursions, any type of defense mission, or when you need the enemies to be quicker so you can get the mission over faster, or whatever you see is necessary to use a Speedva. It's going to be on the strength. So you want as less strength as possible to speed them up. So like in the Slova build, we had Precision Intensify to give it that 145% strength to max it out at 75% slow. We're going to use everything we can to actually get negative strength in the Speedva build. So it's just the opposite there, and that speeds up the enemies. So we have power donation. That's really important, because that's what's really going to drop it down to that 10% is power donation. So like, let's say we put combat discipline in, or steel charge. There we go. So let's say we put steel charge in. It's at 40% now, and your slow is at -30. So that went up considerably. 40% is a big change from 10%. So putting power donation in is going to give you that max slow effect, or speed effect. Another thing we use to debuff the enemies is, see, we got Augur Message, Overextended. So it's going to give us range, but it's going to lower our strength by 60%. So using overextended and power donation is what's going to drop our strength down to 10%. Yeah, 70 minus 100 is, yeah, 30. 60 minus 100 is 40 minus 30, right? Yeah, 10. And then narrow-minded is where we're going to minus that range from overextended to get our range back down and get our duration up. So they're canceling out each other, but we're getting what we need out of it. We're getting our max duration, which is 317%. Yours will probably be a little more since your narrow-minded's maxed out. But that gives us 19 null stars, and you have to remember that using this molecular fission augment is going to give you more null stars too. So you'll see like 20 something null stars around you with this build. And with the Slova build, you'll have over the max amount to get that 90% damage reduction by using that augment as well. And then on this one, I put Arcane Vitality. So I put a little bit of health on her because I notice I take more damage, and I don't have the I don't have Equilibrium on. So I had to trade out that because I put Constitution in to get more duration and put Arcane Energize on. So it's just a little different on this one. Like on the Slova build, I said you could put Arcane Energize on that one. Constitution is a high drain mod for that little bit of duration when Augur Message is just minus 4%. That's 24% ability duration. This is 28%. And it's really not that big of a difference. So it's quite up to you if you want both of them on there, or if you don't, you want to keep Equilibrium and put Arcane Aegis on this. That's completely fine too. But I mean, there's really no point with the 40% faster knockdown recovery when I have Prime Surefooted on. And then where I had Precision Intensify, I have another augment. It's called Conductor. So I subsumed on her second ability, Resonator, and that's kind of what I use to get the enemies off my back. So pretty much it charms the enemy. It's Octavia's ability, and they go chasing that ball around instead of chasing me around and focusing their fire on me at all times. And it's helpful for the defensive target as well. Kind of takes their mind off the defensive target. What the augment does is it allows you to place that roller, the ball, anywhere you want, and then you can also get it to start moving again just by holding down on the ability button again. So when you hit your second ability button, you'll see like a holographic conductor right there, and you'll see the ball roll to it. And then if you want it to break that position, you just hold down that ability and it'll cancel it out and start rolling it around again. And then for the second arcane, we got Molt Efficiency. So more duration, obviously. That's going to be on both of the builds. Like I said, more duration is better because it's good for her fourth ability, for the distance it covers, and then for more null stars. And then for the shards, I put a Tau Forge yellow for casting speed. I put 2 blues for energy max. And then I put extra duration, 10%. So 20% extra duration to get that damage reduction up with the null stars. And yeah, so that's like, they're not all Tau Forged or anything. I mean, you could knock all that off if you wanted, and you could put all Tau Forge duration shards. I'm sure some people do that. Obviously, you see on my build, I have no flow mod. So our energy's at 365 with no flow. That's not bad at all. We're not using Blind Rage or anything to drop our efficiency down. So your efficiency stays at 100% on both builds. So you're not getting like a super high drain when you cast your abilities. And that's good in Steel Path too, especially when you use Brief for Sprite. So you can recast, you could recast Zata's Whisper and pretty much stay invulnerable the whole time. Every time your shield's bright, you could just recast Zata's Whisper. So for the weapons, The best primary that works, you could use whatever you want, but my personal preference is using the Phalarks with Nova. And the reason I like that so much is because I change when I'm fighting. You'll see me use my Epitaph and Falcor. If I have like an Eximus or a harder enemy coming up at me, I'll take the Phalarks out, I'll blast him, put him down, and then switch back. I don't have to worry about reloading this shotgun ever, as long as you start using my secondary or my melee. It'll auto reload to the max, and that's because of 50% magazine reloaded when holstered. So, and that's per second. And so we'll go over the abilities real quick just so you know. So the first one is Kinetic Baffle, minus 50% recoil. The third one is Evolved Autoloader, 50% reloaded per second when holstered. And the fourth one is Racking Wraith, plus 20 status chance, minus 10% crit chance. And then the last one is 50% chance to deal 2,000 damage on non-crit hits. Devastating attrition. So these two, the fourth and the fifth ability, are evolution on this shotgun. They kind of intertwine together. They work together, and that's why you always, like with this and the Fenmore, you always like trying to find that perfect riven roll with the minus crit chance stat, the negative crit chance. So yeah, that's what, because this kind of takes a little while to load. It loads one shell at a time. And if it didn't have that ability, or you don't have synth deconstruct on your companion, the synth mods, you're going to have to reload this thing single manually, and it takes a long time. And so on the build, I like to use the viral build. All these are good. Don't mind the riven doesn't really make that much of a difference. Actually, like I have a build without a riven, the corrosive cold one, so there's not really that, it's not necessary. And primary frostbite, that's usually because I'll have cold on my sentinel, so it keeps the frostbite up. Plus there's cold on here as well, so it should stay up. I mean, it will stay up at 40 stacks, no problem. But I like to use the viral one. The magazine is larger because I have ammo stock on there. I believe this only has 6 shells at default. I like to have a little bit more shells in my shotgun because the shotgun shoots really fast. And FYI, if you've never tried it or you don't know about it, putting this Fenmore on your on-call is ridiculous. Like when you need an extra hand, or you're playing Void Cascade and you just need a little bit of backup, if you pull your on-call, Railjack on-call crew member out and you equip them with this Phalarks, they're gonna blast everything. Like, it's like that shotgun never runs out of ammo with the on-call crew. It's the best weapon that I've found that works so well. Very awesome. So yeah, so we use the shotgun because it auto reloads when we use our melee in our epitaph. So as the enemies are primed already by her fourth ability, you're gonna just paint them with the epitaph. We got a heat and viral build right here. I like to use barrel diffusion because it gives me a dodge speed, so when you roll, you like roll real fast. It's great with Zaku. You could switch that out to galvanized diffusion if you use the epitaph a lot more than just like priming and stuff, but I like to get them coated in viral and heat, and then I'll hit them with my Zorus or whatever. Cascadia Flare for that 480% damage, so that's why I don't have Hornet Strike on here. And again, the Riven is really not that necessary. It's just 80% multi-shot. I mean, we got Lethal Torrent on there, so you could put whatever you want on that build. Sure shot, galvanized shot. I mean, that's what I had on here before, was galvanized shot. Oh, and obviously, you definitely want to put Prime Fulmination. So you want Prime Fulmination because the Epitaph Prime is already got a huge radial attack, but the Prime Fulmination puts it at 14.4 meters. That's really big, and since you got Prime Sure-footed on, you're not gonna knock yourself on your butt either. Yeah, that Epitaph is just so good. So there's two melees that I really like to use with this girl, with Nova. This one, the first one being the Falcor, they're both glaives, by the way. I love glaives. But that doesn't mean like I use glaives with every build. This just works so well with the primed enemies. This is the electricity build. This is the one I use the most. We got melee influence on here. You get this by doing the missions on Cavia, on Deimos at the Sanctum Anatomica, kind of the new Murmur faction stuff. When you can also buy them from Bird 3 over there. So on melee electricity status, 20% chance for elemental melee status to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds. Cannot refresh while active. So whatever other status would be, like if you had viral on here and electricity or gas or whatever. So when that triggers, when that arcane triggers, those enemies will have electricity status and they'll have that viral status or gas status that would be on your melee as well. So that's really nice. I like the electricity build. It works so good. So there's a couple of ways you can build the Falcor. Right now I'm using a Bane mod. If you don't have a primed Bane mod, or you find them kind of a nuisance to constantly switch out, there's an alternative build. You can take this off. You move Voltaic Strike over there, and then you would put Melee Elementalist, and this works super good too. I just switch it around depending on what I'm doing, because the Melee Elementalist gives you 90% status damage, and that works really well with the electricity and everything else. But the important thing is the 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. So there's a charge up time with glaives, and so when you hold down on your melee button, you charge your glaive up and then throw it, and then you'll hit R3 and it makes the glaive explode in midair. So the heavy attack wind-up speed is super important because it allows you to throw that glaive and charge it up and throw it a lot quicker, so you can make everything explode faster. And so Melee Elementalist, Amalgam Organ Shatter has 60% heavy attack wind-up speed, and also Killing Blow has 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. Killing Blow also has the 120% melee damage on heavy attacks. So when you hit R3 and make your glaive explode, you're getting that 120 off of it. Volatile Quick Return. I use this on all my glaives. You get the negative bounce, but it increases the blast radius. So this mod is really important, because this is kind of like primed fulmination. Like for pistols, this is just going to increase the blast radius of your heavy attacks when you hit R3. And more status, more electricity. And then the Riven is just crit chance. This glaive is more of a status glaive, to be honest with you. And it works really well without the Riven. I just happen to put that on there on everything, but I used it without the Riven, and you can too. You just take this off. You could put Volatile Quick Return there. You could actually add another status to it. You could put Prime Fever Strike, make Corrosive. You could add Mark of the Beast, Combo Fury. It's not necessary. It's never necessary to have a Riven. I'm just saying, when you see my weapons have a Riven, that's just because I've been playing this game so long, That's just kind of how I'm chasing the dragon, is by using Rivens now, because I'm just, that's where I'm at. It's not necessary. Like, you don't have to have a Riven on every dang thing you use. So don't feel like this stops you from using the build. If it stumps you that you see Rivens on the builds, just write in the chat and let me know, like, what would you replace that Riven with if I don't have that? And I'll gladly type in there and give you my opinion on that. But that used to happen to me. I used to see Rivens on everything when I'm trying to get knowledge or learn how to build something. Like, well, I mean, that just shot my chance out the door. This weapon ain't gonna work as good as that. But that's not true. That's just the decision they made. I mean, it's really not necessary. I promise you that. And so this is a really good build right here. I just happened to go with the Bane mod. So it kind of double dips with faction damage and your base damage. And the neat thing about the Falcor is you really don't even have to mod electricity on here. The Falcor and the Zorus both have electricity on there. So when you do a heavy attack with the Falcor and the Zorus, you will get a forced electricity proc regardless. So we could take Voltaic Strike off and not have any electricity on there, or we could put something else. We could put like Vicious Frost, Volcanic Edge, and have Blast. Electricity is still going to be on there. Electricity is still going to be on the heavy attack. So you could just mix it up too. I just prefer using electricity because I like it to proc all the time with the Falcor. I found it to be a lot more effective that way, just having pure electricity on there than having and it, it's probably has a lot to do with because I'm able to fit a faction mod on there instead of having just more status elemental damage. And that's kind of like the secret sauce with most of your weapons and builds is having multiple types of damage, having multiplicative damage through your galvanized mods, having status damage through the elementalist mods, having faction damage through your faction mods. So, and all that mix of damage, that's what gives you like good results. Yeah, let's put this thing back together real quick. Let's just put that there, and then Voltaic Strike. Yeah, I feel like I'm losing my voice. My throat has just been so sore today. So, yeah. So that's the build for the Falcor. And then the second one would be the Zorus. So the Zorus, yeah, it's got electricity on it. And it's got electricity on the heavy attacks. So you don't need to put electricity on it to get melee influence to proc. Like I said, I like to just put more electricity on there so I can put a Bane mod and not have to use elemental, like a elemental combination. On this build that I use most, it's got no Riven, and then over here it's got a Riven because this Riven has Blast on it, which is really cool. Works really well with it, Blast and electricity. And so that's kind of my setup with the Riven, if I want to run it like that. And then if I want to use a Bane mod, then I just use this one. They both work really well. Obviously, I'm just going to show you how this one works, so we can not worry about the Blast Riven. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The Falcor is the same as the Zorus pretty much. The Zorus is going to have more crit chance on it. but and the status is lower on the Zorus as well. So you definitely want to have like a 60/60 mod. But pretty much, you know, the core set of mods, all your heavy attack wind up speed mods, so Amalgam Organ Shatter, Killing Blow, Melee Elementalist. So we get that like fast wind up speed. And Volatile Quick Return, Killing Blow, is just all pretty much all the same stuff on here. You know, I really like something when I invest an Umbra Forma in it because I try not to do that a lot. I only do it with like prime frames, which I'm very frugal on prime frames, but I seem to do it on weapons more than anything else. So if you see me use an Umbra Forma, it's because like I'm invested in that weapon. It works really well. And the Zorus has the biggest blast radius of all the glaives. So that's nice, but it's got the shortest distance, which kind of sucks. But the blast range is 12 meters on that. That's pretty big for a glaive explosion. And then another thing about the Falcor, the other glaive, is that it's pretty much auto targets enemies. So when you throw it, you could throw it just straight in front of you, but if there's like an enemy off to the left, it will go and target that enemy, and then you can hit R3 and explode. And that's kind of why I like using the Falcor sometimes, is because I can be lazy with it. I can just throw it, and it's like set it and forget it. You throw it, it goes to a pack of enemies, and you hit R3 and it explodes. And it's got like one of the furthest distances, if not the furthest distance. You can throw that thing, and that thing just goes pretty dang far. Unlike the Zorus is more like a boomerang where you throw it and it comes right back. It doesn't have a very long distance at all. And so that's it with her weapons and the way Nova works. And right now I'm using Nautilus Prime. You can use any companion you want to. You can use any companion with both of the Trinity and Nova. That's completely personal preference. I like using Nautilus Prime because it groups up enemies. So I use Cordon and Guardian. So Guardian keeps my shields up. And then obviously there's a cooldown to it. And Cordon pulls the enemies, but all those cooldowns get reduced by Manifold Bond. So you kind of see where I'm going here with that. Like, I like the enemies to get pulled, grouped up together once they're primed. Nautilus is helping me out. He's got viral heat or magnetic and heat on him. I'm using my glaive. Enemies are exploding. It's nice because Nova's damage when they explode does blast damage, so you'll see secondary explosions. It's like a chain reaction. One enemy explodes, all of the enemies nearby start exploding. And we'll go to the simulacrum real quick, and I will show you. Actually, let's go over Trinity real quick. Because I don't know how long we're gonna do some gameplay on Steel Path with both of them and stuff, but let me get the builds out of the way. And if you could, I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe, and please comment. Like, if you got anything to say, you want to say hi, or you got questions about the builds, please don't be afraid to send me a message. And let's take a look at Trinity. Excuse me, 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Trinity, yeah. The healer. But don't let that fool you. This girl is a straight up killer. She's a beast. And it took me a while to figure out a good build for her. Like, I've been testing her out pretty much last couple of weeks, and I got it dialed in pretty well to where I'm satisfied with it. I'm happy. And this is not the, like I was doing Steel Path Circuit, so I was like switching these guns out. The Occucore, yes, and dual Icors, yeah, but the Boltor, you don't need to use the Boltor. I actually like to use the Miter in Cornin. The Latron Prime works really well too in Cornin. Pretty much anything. But this Miter has been smacking them lately. And so let's go over Trinity real quick. As you can see over here for the shards, I have casting speed, 2 casting speed shards. And I am all out of Tau red shards right now. I put my last one in Sebagoth to make a Tau purple. So I could only put just 3 regular reds. If I didn't have that option and I could put Tau Forge reds, these would be Taus for sure, for duration. As much duration as you can put on her. Just so her, for the main build I use, you're gonna want more duration on her. For the other build, you actually want less duration. So, yeah. So her first ability, which is Blessing, I took off. It's really, don't really need it. There's so many ways. Like I can go on Operator and use Magus Repair and heal my team that way. So I've assumed this build out with Roar, and it works really well because it buffs all my other abilities and it buffs my weapons. And you're gonna use your weapons with Trinity. Trinity and Nova kind of have that same thing going on, where her abilities are going to like debuff the enemies and open them up to like very easy killing. Like you're not gonna sit there and feel like you're blowing bubbles at these bad guys because they're not armor stripped or they're not primed. So she's got a good kit on her as well. So you don't have to worry about energy at all, because her second ability, Energy Vampire, gives you energy over time, or when you kill that enemy, it will give you like a 1 lump sum of energy, and it deals true damage. I said this when I was working on her, that little emblem down there where it says damage at 53%, right next to 53% is the symbol for true damage. So pretty much true damage, it bypasses shields and armor on the enemy, and that damage it goes straight to their health. So that's always a big plus. True damage is very good. Sevagoth has it. That's how he's able to nuke everything in the game, is because he's got a big true damage amount from, I think it's Reap, his second ability that has the true damage. So on this build, this is the way build. Multificiency for more duration. Arcane Energize is just very helpful in higher content. So you're not always depending on Energy Vampire. Sometimes you might be in a pinch where you activated all your abilities and you have no energy to cast Energy Vampire. So having Arcane Energize is very helpful, especially in higher Steel Path content. So Blessing, I'm going to kind of go backwards on this. So Blessing restores the health and shields of nearby allies while reducing the damage they take from enemies. With all the duration I have on here and with the shards, it only lasts 20 seconds. So I wanted to go through the 4th ability first, this one, so I could explain, like, that's why I have those red shards on her, is because the duration on Blessing is ridiculously short. And if you put Constitution on here, which is that high drain duration mod with the 40% knockdown, it only ups it by 1 second. So it's a 13 drain. It's got 28 ability duration and 40% knockdown recovery. But it's like, wow, yeah, that 1 extra second ain't gonna do me squat. So like I'm gonna breathe a little bit longer and then I gotta hit it again. So it really doesn't help. Um, yeah, I put Augur Message on her down here. I believe she comes with these two Vazarin polarities, but I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't reform of that. I'd just leave it as it is because I think the other build has another Vazarin mod on it, so it fits. So we went with Growing Power, Power Drift for 15 more percent ability strength, Adaptation for more damage reduction. We went big on the strength with Blind Rage because we have Roar. Even though it's 55% negative efficiency, we don't care about that because we have Arcane Energize and we have the Energy Vampire. Vampire Leech is for the second ability, Energy Vampire. So you gain shields every time you cast it. And that's very helpful because I can get up to 1,755 overshields from casting Energy Vampire. So that's very helpful. And this is another augment of Trinity. It's for her third ability, Link. So this is a really cool ability, and it's very helpful. Any damage taken while Link is active will be channeled to a nearby enemy. 75% damage reduction. It links to only 3 enemies, though. That'd be cool if they had an augment that, like, you know, linked to 6 or something. But honestly, it doesn't even matter because the link, after you kill that enemy, that link is already seeking out another enemy. So as long as you're like killing them, which is not a problem with her, that those links are going to seek out more enemies. It'll debuff, it'll strip the acolytes and everything. So that's why for the weapons I chose, you'll see why I used it. So the augment is a baiting link, and it reduces the armor rating by 60% on enemies targeted by link. So at 60%, honestly, you don't even need a lot of strength to get that full 100% armor strip on there. We're past it, pretty sure. Yeah, we're at 128% armor reduction, but really you could use like a maxed out Augur Secrets, and Umbral Intensify, I think. Let me see, Augur Secrets, Umbral Intensify, any more strength on here? And we're at 100%. So yeah, Umbral Intensify and Augur Secrets will give you 100% armor strip on the enemies. So not even a lot. The only reason we have so much more strength is because we have Roar on the first ability. So we want to get a big Roar buff. Yep, Stretch for a little bit more range. Prime Continuity for more duration. Flow for a bigger energy pool. And then Adaptation for damage reduction that goes along with the abating link augment and your third ability link. So yeah, it's a very simple build, but it's a very, very effective, especially higher steel path content. And then the other build we have is kind of like a nuke build, so it's almost like the opposite with the duration. You want as little duration as possible on this build. Your first ability that you're going to subsume off is going to be marked for death. You're going to want like a lot of strength on it, so you put Blind Rage, Umbral Intensify. We have Vampire Leech because that's going to help you with this nuking ability that you're going to do with that true damage I was telling you about with her second ability. And your duration's going to be so short that you're really not even going to be able to use Link. It's only going to last 1.4 seconds pretty much. And Blessing, you can still hit Blessing when you see your health get low. so that's not a problem. Arcane Aegis for a shield recharge to come back quicker, and then Molt Augmented for another 60%. And then, yeah, that's it. So I'll show you how that works. And then there's a couple of weapons that you'll want to use to get this ability, this build to work really good. And to be honest, I don't use this build that much. I actually use the other build with the Roar. I found it to be a lot funner. I'm gonna use that word. It's a lot funner to use than this one. But again, I really don't use this one that much, but it's cool. And you can put whatever you want in this aura slot. I just put more health because it's Trinity. Yeah, so let's go back and look at her weapons. So I like to use the Miter in Cornin. I use Blast on it, is actually the one I've been using lately. This is crit chance, crit damage, and I just rolled that. But it had like projectile speed and everything. It was slapping without it, and like I said, you could put galvanized aptitude right there if you'd like, because that's a Vazern polarity. And then we got it modded for Blast. So it's gonna do cold. You're mostly gonna be shooting this in Incarnate form when you, if you choose to use this weapon. So cold is gonna be what's on it, because when it turns Incarnate, it has heat. So you're gonna deal blast damage. Hunter munitions, rifle elementalist for the status damage. We got our faction damage right here. Cold to equal blast, more crit damage, crit chance, and then multi-shot. And then we got primary merciless because we are dealing slash damage too, so they'll bleed out, and it's really easy to get the arcane procced at 12 times. It's not a problem at all with this thing. Another one is this one. This is corrosive in heat. So you got your crit delay, you got your crit damage, and then you got corrosive right here. Terminal velocity is very helpful. It increases the projectile speed, and you could really use it with the Miter, to be honest with you. More projectile speed, the better for this thing. And multi-shot, and then primary merciless again. This is an augment for the Miter. So neutralizing justice, each Miter blade has a 90% chance to immediately destroy a nullifier bubble, which is really helpful. It almost basically works like 100% of the time. I've never had it not work when I shot a nullifier bubble, but it just eradicates it, like it disappears immediately. +1 justice, which is Arbiters of Hexus, or not. It's one of the syndicates, and it's either like Still Meridian or Arbiters of Arbiters of Hexus. But that's basically like the syndicate perk to the mod, and you'll get like a 25 meter. Oh, here you go. So gain affinity to fill Still Meridian meter and trigger a 25 meter blast explosion, restoring 25% health and increasing armor by 15% for 30 seconds. So this right here destroys the Acolyte with her. Like one-shots it, not a problem. But with Trinity, you don't even really have to kill the Acolyte. The Acolyte's just going to kill itself. And it's kind of funny to watch. And then the Occucore is awesome. So this is like the go-to secondary for Hydroid. This is the Tentacle gun. And it synergizes really well with her abilities. So you're going to roar. You're going to give it faction damage on it. And then you're going to have Link active, which you armor strip the enemies. And this thing is just going to melt everything that is around you. I use the Viral Heat, and I highly suggest using the Viral Heat build with Trinity because like I said, her second ability, Energy Vampire, it does that true damage. So Viral affects the health. It's a health damage multiplier. So viral is kind of like the way to go, at least on one of your weapons. On your primary, secondary, I would have viral on it. And then so, well, this is the same build that, no, never mind. I'm thinking of the epitaph. So we got Cascadia Flare for the 480% damage. I saw that and I was like, oh, epitaph prime. Runeous extension to have more beam length. Hornet strike. You can actually, I put this here when I play in the circuit and stuff, and I saw it pop up, so I took the faction damage off. But I usually will put like Prime Orkin, Expel Orkin, diffusion for multi-shot, damage over time, and then the augment is Sentient Surge. This was in Nightwave, I think 2 Nightwaves ago. So if you don't have this, I'll just make this clear. If you don't have this augment, don't use the OcuCore because it sucks without it. Use the Compressa, use the Epitaph, use the Nucore. The Nucore works good. You could use the Cycron, the Atomos. Anything that chains to enemies too would work really well. But this augment is what makes this secondary so well. Each target eliminated refills 20% of the OcuCore's magazine. Status chance and crit chance are increased by 60% for each tendril active. So you get over 200 something percent of crit chance and status chance. So it's very, very nice. And for my melee, I like to use the dual Icors. So with her third ability, armor stripping everything, the dual Icors is just going to melt everything. I mean, they melt everything without being armor stripped. So they're just really nasty. I like to use the magnetic build. It's magnetic toxin with melee vortex. You're more than welcome to use whatever melee you want to. I just like using the Icors or the Icors with her. Melee vortex, proccing magnetic status will pull enemies from an 18-meter radius to you. And then, yeah. So, again, no need for that Riven, to be honest with you, because if you just had the build right there without that Riven, you could put Lasting Sting on there. You could put whatever you want. You could put, actually, Gladiator Might would be more crit damage. That's probably what I would do. It works just fine. And these are incarnate. I'll go over the evolutions. The first evolution on the Icors is base damage increased by 90, 5 additional combo on target affected by toxin. So that's another reason why there's toxin along with the magnetic, because you charge these up really quick. The multiplier goes up really fast. It's like using the dual Icors with Saren, and her toxic lash keeps that up at a 12 times. So it's really easy to charge up the dual Icors if you put toxin status on it to begin with. It'll charge up real quick if you have this evolution activated right here. So evolution 3 is Orkin's Reach. It's 0.6 range. And then the last evolution is increased base status chance by 34%. Absolute Valor. I like to use Matarive for my focus school, because I will do the Sling Dash, the double sling, to get that extra ability strength. So I can have a fatter roar. And so Sling Strength. Switching to Warframe after chained slings adds 40% ability strength for 20 seconds. So you just sling, cast your roar, and then you cast your 4th and your 3. And then it's just a matter of remembering to cast your 3 and your 4 and keep those active. And you'll see later in the gameplay, that's why you want that duration on Trinity, is because her 3 and her 4, especially her 4th ability, it seems like it goes down so quick. And you just have to stay on top of that. I really wish I had the red Tau Forge shards. That'd make a big difference. So we're gonna go ahead and and the miter. I don't think I went over the evolutions for the miter real quick. So on the miter, well, that's the first one. The second ability is Swift Saw Blades. So increase base damage by 77 with channeled ability active plus 70% fire rate. Increase base damage by 57. Multi-shot consumes ammo directly from capacity and increases base damage by 20. Really, these both are kind of terrible. You choose whichever one you want on that. And then the third ability, I got plus 50% projectile speed, Swift Deliverance, and then on the last one's Commodore's Fortune. Increase base crit chance by 22. All of these on Evolution 4 are really good. Hold the charge shot down for 1 second to increase area of effect. Increase base crit chance by 12% and status chance by 12%. So let's say you had a Riven that was all status. You could hit this one to give it more crit. Or maybe you have something that's kind of, you just need a little boost, whether it's in the crit or status section. You could go with this. Completely up to you. But this is how I have it set, and it works just really well. In Incarnate form with the miter, the projectiles become auto-targeting, so they'll hit up to 3 enemies per shot or per blade. So when you hit one enemy, that bullet or that blade will bounce off that enemy and then make 2 more hits, or it'll hit a total of 3 enemies. And that's why I like to use the blast damage, because it will blow up the rest of the enemies that are around them. And for my Sentinel, I am Nautilus on again. And Cordon, so this build's a little different. The one I had on Nova is this one, and it just doesn't really matter which one you use. I use this one sometimes because I have reinforced bond on it, which gives me 60% more fire rate. It's completely up to you. I was using the Boar Prime, and so that's why I had this one right here. But you're taking off your primed animal instinct, so you're not going to see all your loot on the ground. So it's completely up to you on how you want to do that. It's not necessary with the Occucore to have reinforced bond, because that augment, that sentient surge on the Occucore is just going to constantly keep your ammo pool up. You'll never run out of ammo as long as the tendrils, multiple tendrils, are killing enemies. So sometimes having too much fire rate on that thing is not a good thing, because you will blow through your ammo faster than it will stay up. That's why, like, sometimes if you go in a wisp mode, sometimes it don't work too well with this pistol. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go back to that Nova build. And let's go test out the weapons real quick, and then I'll show you how everything works. I'll show you the distances as well.
The multitude of creatures you
when
have
it comes to the Zorus and the Falcor, because I'm not joking, the Zorus is the distance is so much shorter compared to the Falcor. So let's go here. Alright. So first up, we'll use the Zorus. Make sure we got everything on here. We're gonna be against the Orkin. Alright. Just making sure I didn't switch anything around when I was showing y'all. Alright, so first up, it's gonna be the Slova build. So let's go get our energy. We got, get rid of them, put up some heavy goons. 20 corrupted heavy gunners, we're not gonna pause them. And so, alright, let's begin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put your null stars are always out. We're going to cast our 4th. You'll see it travel all the way out there. Activate Zata's Whisper. And when they get primed, you'll see them get highlighted like that. That's my Sentinel's clone killing enemies. So I'm going to shoot my shotgun. It's unloaded. Now I'm gonna melee. Go back to the shotgun and it's full. So you can unload this shotgun. Melee. Go back to it. It's back at 8. Melee again. It's back at 10. So it reloads on its own. And that's what I like about that shotgun. And it slaps. So the only bad thing about that shotgun is that damage, that 50% of doing 2,000 damage, it doesn't work on acolytes. So the evolution on the Finmore and the Phalarks, that 4th evolution, does not work on the acolytes. So that's why it's like blowing bubbles when you're trying to sit them down. But I just use the Zorus or the Falcor for that. Slow them down with the Epitaph a little bit. We'll try that one more time just so you kind of see. I'm going to switch to the Epitaph and Zorus. Prime them. Alright, now they're super slow. Hit them with the Epitaph. Charge. R3. And that's it. They're super slow. Like, they can't even react quick enough to hurt me. And Nautilus, that's why I like Nautilus too. Like, he'll pull them all together. So that is that. And so this is the Zorus. Let's see. Let's stand right here and throw it. So it didn't even hit that pillar. I'm pretty sure we can hit that pillar. Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it was going to go through the pillar. So, okay, it hit the pillar. Didn't hit the pillar. Hit the pillar. So right here to right there. So we're looking at 20 meters pretty much. Let's just say 20 meters on the Zorus. We're going to switch to the Falcor, the other Great Glaive for her. Put Orkin on here. So that's 20 meters. Let's make sure it hits 20 meters. No problem. Back up. Still hit it. Still hit it. Still hit it. Still hit it. So about right here. 40 meters. So it's double the range of the Zorus. So you just pick and choose. Try them both out and see which one you like. The Zorus has more blast radius damage, but shorter distance to travel. Like, it doesn't go far, but it has a bigger blast radius. And then the Falcor, it doesn't have a bad blast radius, but it goes further, and it also auto targets enemies. Really quick, I'll find out what the blast radius of the Falcor is. So the Zorus was 12, and then it's 9. So 9 meter blast radius on the Falcor. So, oh, and we'll go ahead and switch to the Speedva build so you can see how the Speedva speeds up enemies. Alright, so let's get some energy. Go ahead, cast our Null Stars. Prime them. Disco Ball. See, it's got, now they're like intrigued by the Disco Ball. It's kind of saving my butt since they're sped up and we're not taking all that damage. Nautilus is pulling them. They're still chasing that Disco Ball. It's very, very helpful for the defense target. So the defense target doesn't get shot up since they're I feel like they're kind of actually buffed because they're faster. But this Disco Ball really helps. And so if you cast it again, because we have that resonator augment, you can see what I was talking about. It makes this little kind of like specter of the Disco Ball, and then it travels over there, and it'll just stay in one place. So it's not moving around everywhere. So you can command it to go anywhere you want. You can hit it again. It'll travel over there. And then if you want it to break position, you just hold down on the ability button and you'll go through that. Hold it down and it goes away. Well, it just timed out, but that's what it does. So you can command it to stay, go, move. Use the epitaph. So we prime them. So we got 21 Null Stars to start off with. Disco Balls out. Prime them. Watch this thing. The Falcor will target the enemies like. So let's say if I threw it a little high, it goes down and it hits them. You don't have to be super accurate with the Falcor like you do with the Zorus. The Zorus, you gotta have that. You gotta have your reticle facing the enemy. Like, it's gotta be near them. See, it comes down, hits the enemy, curved and hit the enemy. Yeah, you can just pretty much throw it, and it'll just target them for you. That's a really nice perk. With the Falcor, I do like that a lot. And like, I don't know. To be honest with you, Nautilus is so busted, you could probably just stand there and let Nautilus do all the work for you. But obviously that's not as fun. We'll jump to Trinity real quick. And use her. Make sure we got all the mods we need. That's infested. We want to use that. Dual Cores doesn't have one. Ocucore has a Bane mod. Okay, we're good there. And then the Burglass, yeah, viral heat. So yeah, we're good. And this is the roar build. So I won't even Empire first. Let's try that again. Do energy vampire. Alright, Link, Blessing, now we're good to go. Now we can kill this person. Cast our Roar, Energy Vampire, another enemy. Yeah, this is not the blast build on the Miter either. You can see how we're armor stripping as well. And he's just getting melted. Let me put this on the blast build. There we go. So real quick, let me pause them and show you how this miter works. So we charge it up with the headshots. Charged up in 2 shots. Now if you held it down and shot it at their head, it would probably charge up a lot quicker. So it targets multiple enemies. That's without roar. Okay. Now let's kind of give it some more. Let's clear them out. Let's go infested. Oop. Infested. Kind of really separated to do this. But we're gonna cast our roar. Oh. We don't have Link active right now. We're just using the miter. So, I mean, it targets pretty well when it goes to bouncing and hitting other enemies. So let's charge this thing up and just unload it and see what happens. Let's charge it up real quick. Oh, he died. Okay. Roar's about to end. Alright. He got vaporized. But yeah, it works really good. So let's do the Occucore. What were we? We're on corrupted heavy goons. So let's start that up. So it starts off with one tendril, and now it's got multiple tendrils. And you just point it. You can aim wherever. It's like you don't have to aim at the enemy. I could aim at that enemy and still gonna. So it's not like you gotta be super accurate. You just gotta point it in the direction of the enemies and pull the trigger. That's it. It's done. And you don't like. I forgot roar. So let's not use roar. Works good. Roar just helps it more. But as long as your links out, debuffing the enemies, armor stripping them, like you're good to go. We could clear them and just put like the corrupted heavy goon Xmas out. And that's that. I'll show you how you're getting like extra overshields and stuff with her vampire blessing, her second ability. Cast the goons. Get them moving. They don't have to be moving. I'm gonna move them. So put blessing on. So every time you cast energy vampire, your shields will go up. When that enemy dies, your shields go up. So it's super easy. 1755. So you get overshields every single time you cast blessing. And then when that enemy dies, you kind of see like that wave of energy come out from them. And that's that true damage that's hitting other enemies as well. And that's the ability on the other build that you're going to use to nuke with. So if we go to tighter quarters here, change relay, let's go to the relay. Go to the simulacrum. Let's go to this one because they're a little bit more compacted. And we got to change our primary out to the Bubonico, the Bubonico. So here's the Bubonico. Let's make sure we got viral. So on the Bubonico, we got fractalized reset on ability cast, a bunch of reload speed on here because there is no, so it's got an eternal magazine on it to where it refills. There's no magazine pool, no extra ammo. It just recharges over time, so you want a bunch of reloading speed on it. So we got prime tactical pump. This is a shotgun. It's an arm cannon shotgun. It's got primary fire and an alt fire. The primary fire shoots these barbs, which is like shotgun pellets basically, does slash damage. And then the alt fire fires these like pus boils of viral damage. And it does viral on its own, like you don't have to mod it for viral. We just put viral on everything. So it would have cold on the primary and then viral on the alt. So that's why we added viral, to give it viral on both and more status and all that. So you'll want the Bubonico to have viral on it for the true damage. And then the other build for Trinity, this is the one with marked for death. And so basically what you're going to do is you're going to shower the enemies in viral. And you're going to... Man, I always get this backwards. So you're going to hit Mark for Death and then Energy Vampire. And like I said, I don't use this build a lot. I use the other one. The other one's funner. I'll show you in some gameplay. Okay, heavy guns. Always pull those enemies up. I'll have to take him off. All right, so you just blast them, and then make sure you mark that enemy. That you put energy vampire and mark for death have to go on the same enemy. They have to, or you're not going to get that effect. So we'll do it again. Oh, and like your link, watch. There's such short duration on this one. Now that I got 3 shards, it'll last longer, but that's your link. And that's your link going away. So without the 3 shards, it lasted 1.4 seconds. It lasts like 5 seconds now. So it doesn't last long enough to use, really. But your blessing will still be good. Alright, let's spawn them in again. Alright. So, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it with that build. So she can clean the house, but is it the build that I like to use that much? No, not really. I like to use the other build a lot more. It just kind of matches my gameplay. I do a lot of solo playing, and I want to take my time and not be in a hurry. So, like for quality of life, I feel like the other build is funner. $3.1 million damage on all the targets. So it's like, and Nautilus killed the ones behind me. That's it. That's all there is to it. Build's really simple. It's easy to use. But that's about it. I used to be a fan of the Bubonico, but I'm just not a fan of the Bubonico anymore. The arm cannon, it's whatever. But yeah. So you can nuke, or you can use this, bless your team with some health and shields and all that kind of stuff, and armor strip enemies, or you can just nuke the map. It's up to you. I just like to use the other build. That's my choice. I'm just showing you what builds there are. Go back to the miter and do that. Alright, so we got it set for Orkin. Let's get out of here and see what we got. Orbiter. And then I'll just show you some Steel Path gameplay on both frames, and that'll be it. So we went over the builds, and we went over the weapons, how they synergize with each other, tested them out in the simulacrum, and now we're gonna do Steel Path stuff. Let's see, defense, Casta series, defense, Uranus, defense, Requiem, alchemy. We'll do this, do that, one of those defenses real quick. Switch to Nova. I'm gonna use a different skin on her this time. I'm gonna use this one. And then we got the Falcor. I think everything's set. We're good to go, because it was all working. Game Crasher, Magnetic, and Heat. As long as you got Heat, you're good to go. I'll switch in between because I got Viral on my Epitaph. So we're just trying to get Manifold Bond to work more on the Sentinel so he can radial suck everything, pretty much. I'm sure we got Guardian, Cordon. And let's see, we got Saris. I'm trying to see if there's like, I don't know. Let's just do this one. Maybe we'll get the good one. Oh, make sure we're on Speedva as well. Alright. So, yeah, you'll see how helpful the disco ball is with the enemies on the defense objective, and how it's really nice to have them sped up to get the process. And I use it for incursions every time there's a defense. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, I'm using Nova to get the mission done quicker. So, yeah, we got all the sectional rooms here. It's alright. Let's just go in. So I wait till it to go to 1 second, and now I hit it. Put my null stars out. My disco ball.
Defend yourself and use reactant to open relics.
Speed them up. Kill them. I'm using the Falcor, so it's got a mind of its own. It's gonna go up there and hit all those enemies.
Collect reactant to open your relic. Be aware.
Nautilus is pulling them in. You can prime them with a little bit of Viral.
The reactant is working on your relic. Find more.
I like to hit a second prime. You can get the next wave of enemies right here, nice and prime. That's melee influence procking. You can see all those white electricity procs. Let's see, we got one enemy up top. Oh, we got a few enemies over here. Let's see where the next defense objective is. It's over here. Cool. No need to reload. Just switch to my melee, go back, and we got 10 in the pipe. Cast another disco ball. Speed them up. And we got the Stalker. This will be good. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna nullify everything pretty much. It's gonna shut all my abilities off. You shall your weapons. Second proc. Your 10 powers are useless. Crack. So that's see why I like using Nautilus is to tip all my null stars away too. Is to get them pulled in a cluster and then hit them with the Falcor.
That's it.
And
You
you're
opened
good.
the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside. Disco ball out. I just usually let the disco ball roam around. It's fine with me. It doesn't bother me. That enemy they keep ending up right here because they're going through the portal. It's the Epitaph. The Epitaph's nice because it procs frost, and then you get an automatic frost proc on that radial blast.
so it'll stop them from shooting you up as well. If you forget to put your disco ball out, and you're just putting more status on them, so they're dying a lot easier as well. They already died over there. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it now. And then move. Disco ball out. Shotgun stays full. Go ahead and proc it again, because you can tell it's a new wave of enemies, because they're not highlighted, some of them aren't, and they're kind of being slow. Put our disco ball out again. Hopefully we'll get an acolyte. And on the Slova build, the Epitaph works so well with Zata's Whisper. Everything just has got the void bubbles on them. Taking that little extra hit of damage. So Epitaph works really well on both builds. Go ahead and hit it again. Here's our Acolyte, yay. And then you just take your secondary shot on the Epitaph, bust those Eximus bubbles. Got a Jade Eximus, Null Star's out. Hit him a little viral. Roll out the bubble.
Extraction is ready. Unless you can handle more of the enemy.
And that's it. So that's how the speedboat works.
And
Very
so
easy.
we learn the importance of
Very
clarity
simple.
and purpose.
Also, like, if your teammates or you get some random people you're playing with, if they have growing power on their aura slot and you have power donation, you're trying to keep that negative strength, it can actually increase your ability strength, and so the enemies won't be as fast, unfortunately. So sometimes you can't help that if other people are using growing power. It's just going to give you a little more strength, so they might be a little slower than what you want them to be, but you know, it is what it is. Trinity, go to Trinity now. Got the roar build on. Oh, this is testing Trinity right here. There we go. Maybe like, you know, a survival would be nice. Conjunction. Okay. So pretty much in the mission, every weapon you have equipped with Trinity is gonna melt, regardless. Just because her abilities help you. They help you out so much. Her link pretty much is what's...
These are worthy foes. Underestimate them at your peril.
So, let's do Energy Vampire.
Fissures in the area. Use these to crack open a relic.
Cast it again. Now we're full on some energy. Grab my gun. Go ahead and start this bad boy.
The Orican Neural
Alright,
Sentry is attempting
so
to
I'm
purge
gonna
you
do
from
my
space.
sling.
Stand by for
Sling
light support.
strength. Go ahead and cast Rourke. Cast Link. Cast Blessing. Energy Vampire, another enemy. I'm gonna charge.
Use that reactant to open
They
a
died. Quick.
Don't
Charge
forget
the
the
miter up.
You need
Alright,
more
we're good to
from
go.
that relic.
See, they're just like as long as you got Blessing and Link active, we could just stand here and just take it. Not a problem. Yeah, that's how that works. That's Trinity. That's why I like this build better. Because there's duration on your abilities and it's just fun. Fun to just like stand there and watch things die. Be alright. Cast your blessing every once in a while to give your overshields up. Get your overshields up. Make sure Link. All you gotta do is just make sure your Link and your blessing is active. You're gonna be alright. You're gonna face tank everything. She's like the ultimate face tanking. You got Revenant with Mesmer Skin, and I mean she's right up there with that. Like she can take it straight to the face.
The relic has been cracked open. Finish your mission to find out what's inside.
Alright, so let's go ahead, use the Octocore. Everything just kind of died already. We'll use the Octocore and just get it charged up. Link. And so you can just run around and like do this number. Just run everywhere and just point and click. Doesn't matter, they're all gonna die. She's so much fun. Blessing.
All manner of Orican technology may work here due to the Circulus's proximity.
Go get
If you
them,
have
get
enough,
them.
You may use it.
Oh, here's that. One of the special rooms. Cunning drift or whatever. Coaction drift, cunning drift. Yeah. Just like stand here and just shoot them all day long. And they'll be alright. Use the miter. Miter's fun. Yep, that's the miter. And now we'll use the Ichors. Let's get them in Karnan, no problem. Now they're in Karnan. And then we just like slice and dice. Walk around, just chop things up. Don't even have to like, you know, you do a little bit of cutting and not have to like super focus like, oh, I gotta kill him before he kills me. It's just like very comfortable, take your time. Here's Malice. I know you gotta roll out of that Malice bubble, but He's just gonna kill himself. I'm just gonna stand here. Stand in that bubble, and he died. Didn't even have to fire one shot or hit him with my melee. Like, she's just OP like that. I think a lot of people underestimate Trinity because she's a very old frame. And, you know, Wisp came out, Gage came out, like, she's useless.
Those oculists are scanning for targets.
Maybe she's not as good as them when it comes to buffing the team, but if you want to be selfish and worry about yourself and just never die, she's perfect. She's good. Good as ever.
They know you're here. Prepare for sentient
You can
fighters.
do just about anything with her. Blast them. Blessing. Energy vampire. Energy vampire. Energy vampire. A lot of fun. And that's why, like, you see her fourth ability, it does not last long. So you do want to keep an eye on your timers down there. Make sure that your blessing stays active and your link stays active. And as long as you got blessing and link active, you're never going to go down.
Destroy them.
Let's stop blocking with our melee and just kind of like take the damage. See energy vampire with the true damage, just like killing everything next to them. Pick my gun up. The Ocucore is great though, like, you just go in a circle and just hold the trigger down. Doesn't matter, I could aim this way. Aim that away. Aim over here. Aim on the ground. Aim up. So we're gonna hit them. And if you look at the ammo, you just see it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. The ammo efficiency is wild on it, and that's because of the augment. And that is all there is to Trinity. They're both frames, Nova and her, they're both great. And they're both team players. They're not super squishy frames at all. They're only super squishy if you don't have their abilities casted pretty much. But and that's pretty much anything. If you don't have Revenant's ability casted, he's gonna go down one shot. And that's on like normal path. You know, it's how you use their abilities and what you can add to make them better to suit your needs on your gameplay style. But I mean, everything I've read and watched about Trinity and her being obsolete now, and you know, she's getting a light rework. Her, Nyx, Caliban, they're all getting light reworks. Is what they said at TennoCon. That's gonna be great. Like I can't wait to see what they, you know, revamp on her or make her even better. So we can just stand here and let her hurt herself. So you know, The only... So you can do that with pretty much everybody in the game. Every bad guy, except for Violence. Violence is the only one because he's going to nullify your abilities. He does that to all frames. Octavia's abilities don't disappear as long as you've casted him before he spawns in. Like, you see him about to pop in, you cast the abilities, recast your abilities, and they won't go away. But that's what your weapons are for. I mean, what weapon here wouldn't put a dent in Violence? Like, your Duelet, or they're going to knock him on the ground. The Miter's for sure going to knock him on the ground. The Aki-Core is probably going to take a little longer. But that's one person that you got to worry about and actually, like, use your skills to stay alive. I mean, that's really not asking that much, and that doesn't make the build terrible. So that's it. We're going to go ahead and just edit that.
Sentient scouts. If they detect you, fighters will soon attack.
2 halls of sentient. That's my gun.
The sentient has detected you. Fighters incoming. The treasures of the Oracle. Put them to better use than they did.
We're gonna go ahead and head to exfil after we kill these cracks.
We are seeing the consequences of that.
They kill themselves.
Now. Destroy these void-stained enemies.
Okay. Over there. But, you know, I've yet went into a long duration game with Marked for Death on Trinity and held it out. But there's the build if you would like to use it, you know, with the Buba Nico. But I highly suggest this one. I would use this build to, you know, understand how she works and her gameplay. Oh, and a great thing is, if you have Link active, you pretty much have Prime Surefooted on. So you're not going to get knocked down, you're not going to get knocked on your butt. But as you can see, like, that corrupted heavy goon just knocked me on my butt because I didn't have Link active. So yeah, all that damage is diverted to the enemies as long as your Link's active. That's kind of a perk, is you got Prime Surefooted built into her. I like when they do that. There's a couple of other frames that have like a built-in Prime Surefooted. Gauss being another one of them with his kinetic plating, his second ability. So that's it. One more time, I'm just gonna go to the arsenal and hey kiddo, open the build up for you. So this is the Roar build, and I don't like to just show the builds one time in case somebody just came in and they're watching, they see it now. So this is the build, this is the way. Roar in the first ability, Vampire Leech and Abating Link. It's a good build. As you can see, there's nothing like that sentient. It is what it is. When they start doing that merry-go-round energy beam, you just got to get to them and kill them. But I was too busy yapping my mouth. And then for the Marked for Death build, you know, you're going to want to use the Bubonico or the Bubonico as your primary, and Marked for Death in the first slot. That's how that looks. And I did use Orphanum Lights. This is fun too. Slowly is armor stripping enemies and putting heat on them, but I really kind of just found it like you could probably put something better on there because Link is going to go ahead and armor strip them all the way. So it was, you know, I'd rather take Roar in the first ability than have Orphanum Lights. The good thing is that they get slowed and they get heat on them, but I would much rather choose the Roar build over any of these builds. You could just stay like level cap, survival, have fun. And Nova is going to be Speed build is right here. Power donation, Prime sure-footed, Prime continuity, her augment, molecular fission, Octavia's augment, conductor, narrow-minded, overextended, constitution, augur message, archon vitality, multi-efficiency, arcane energize. Second ability is resonator, Octavia's ability, and that's why we have that augment on there. And then for the Slova build, brief respite, Prime sure-footed, Prime continuity, molecular fission, narrow-minded, Prime redirection, precision intensify, only at 45% ability strength. That's all you need. There's no point in putting a max one out, so don't do that because you're not going to get any more out of it. The only thing you're doing is wasting your mod drain capacity, so don't do that. Adaptation for more damage reduction, equilibrium for energy and health, and augur message for more duration. Always multi-efficiency on her for more duration, and then archon aegis for shield regen. And that's it. That's what I got. Phalarx, Epitaph Prime, Falcor, or the Zorus. It's up to you. And then I've been running Nautilus on both the builds for Sentinels, for Companions. That's completely up to you as well. You can use whatever you like. The Duriga works really good too. I just like the Radial Suck ability from Nautilus. That Radial Suck is amazing. And it's called Cordon. So you got Guardian. Shields run out, it'll boost it back up. You got Cordon, the Radial Suck augment, pulls enemies within 30 meters. Manifold Bond to reduce your cooldowns a lot faster, so he can keep giving you shields, keep pulling enemies, keep attacking. Duplex Bond to give you 3 little minions to fight for you and to put status on everything. Very helpful. And Tenacious Bond is a crit multiplier, so as long as you're using a weapon on your companion that has over 50% crit chance, then you get a 1.2 crit multiplier at the end of everything. So after all your mods are added up, all your critical damage is added up, it will give you 1.2 after that. It's kind of like how Arcane Avenger works. It's just like a flat rate, bam, at the end. There you go. Nova Prime and Trinity Prime return, so perfect. So I'm gonna sign off. I'll let you guys go ahead and get to relic cracking and get to building your 2 girls and have a lot of fun with that. If you have any questions, please type in the comments below. If you like the content and enjoyed the content, would like to see more, please hit like and subscribe to hang out with Rat and learn more about the builds and stop by and say hi. And if I'll see you after this storm. Hopefully the power doesn't go out. I'll be on later, and I will catch you in the next video. Shola Sura.